Hello, gentle viewers. It's the end of the week, and so as a reward for completing this week, I present to you a video where I talk about an episode of a superhero animated series, specifically an episode of the Legion of Superheroes cartoon titled Lightning Storm. Before I review the episode, allow me to throw a quick synopsis of the episode at you real quick in case you never saw the episode. The Legion is fighting some kind of space squid and doing a miserable job at it. Then a new team of superhumans called the Lightspeed Vanguard come in and make short work of the squid. Lightning Lad is enamored with these guys, and he soon leaves the Legion when he is embarrassed at some of the things they are doing, most prominently having tryouts for superheroes who he thinks are pathetic. Then Lightning Lad discovers that his scumbag of a brother is behind this Vanguard, and that they aren't interested in being heroes. They actually demand payment for any heroic deed that they do. When they then steal some reactors that are meant to go to a population that needed them to survive, Lightning Lad turns on them and is taken back in by the Legion after they all defeat the bad guys. While I'm not going to go so far as to say that this episode is fantastic, I do think this is a step in the right direction. This is definitely better than Child's Play or Phantoms. If I'm not wishing that I was watching paint dry instead of watching an episode, then it's a positive development, I would say. I do think it was a neat idea to use actual villains from the Legion of Superheroes comic books for the Vanguard team. Since I'm not a hardcore Legion fan, I actually didn't recognize any of these guys except for Tyr, and even him I didn't remember his name when I saw him on screen. But I did think that was clever. This could have been a situation much like Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends, where the only thing a fan of the comics might recognize in a given episode, at least it seemed to me most of the time this was going on, was the three titular heroes and some villains who were not even from the comic books. Not that using villains from the comics inherently makes the episode better, but it is a lot of fun for people who are fans of the comics to get a good story and also try to pick out characters they recognize from the source material. Even through the episodes I didn't like much, I've been able to do that, and it's been consistently something that I enjoy trying to do for each episode. And while this is also something that I used to do for shows like Teen Titans or Justice League Unlimited, I feel like the Legion of Superheroes series is much more ripe for background characters you can throw on screen and let fans do the happy dance when they see Infectious Lass accidentally killing a flower. I also like that the initials for the Vanguard is LSV, which in the comics stands for Legion of Supervillains. That's also something that's not very in your face, but if you know it, then you're saying, oh, that's cute, well done. There are a few things about this episode that can only be described as, oh, how convenient. It just so happens that the Legion is terrible at defeating a squid monster right when this air quotes cooler team comes along to make Lightning Lad question his loyalties. It just so happens that this is the episode where some of the Legion members, Bouncing Boy, have the maturity of a 4-year-old. And it just so happens that this is the episode where we get to see Legion members with powers so awful that they are hardly worthy to be considered powers. Although the guy who holds his breath did bring out a huge laugh from me, so I can't complain too much there. I half expected this episode to reveal that the Vanguard somehow staged the squid so that they could make the Legion look bad. This wouldn't be as problematic if the Legion had more failures under their belt. Then I'd be able to easily buy that they have trouble with this thing. But when we've seen Superboy throw a squid very similar to this one by himself, I find this to be very problematic. Likewise, the idea that these guys are actually mercenaries came as a bit of a shock to me. Not because I thought they were legitimately good guys. It would be obvious to anyone watching that these guys are not good people. But if they only do these jobs if they have a chance to get paid by someone, then why did they attack the squid monster in the first place? Who exactly paid them for that job? And when we finally do find out that these guys are mercenaries, Superboy and Timberwolf are the ones who actually did the job, and these guys are still demanding money. I'm not complaining that they're bad people, but rather that they're stupid people. And speaking of stupid people, let's talk about Lightning Lad's brother Mecht real quick. We find out halfway into the episode that he's the leader of this team, and the only reason the rest of the team is okay with Lightning Lad joining them is because of Mecht vouching for him. So why does Mecht do this? Last we saw, Mecht pretty much hated his brother and was jealous of him. Why would he then go out of his way to get Lightning Lad on the same team as him? I get that this kind of has to be fudged for the episode to even happen, but if the character motivations don't line up with the story, the character motivations do not need to be ignored. Rather, the story needs to be altered to fit the character motivations. One thing I did like in this episode is that the tryouts for entering into the Legion shows many characters who we know in the comics are part of the Legion of Substitute Heroes. This somewhat ties in with what's going on with Lightning Lad in this episode, but I do know from looking at titles of later episodes that the Legion of Substitute Heroes do come into play later on. So I appreciate these guys were able to make a cameo here before being used to full effect later on, and it didn't really feel forced. Overall, I thought this was a decent episode. Not the best, but definitely a step from what this show had been throwing our way. I think this is a better use of Lightning Lord, and I can only imagine that he will be even more similar to his comic book counterpart the next time he is used in this show. I hope you guys found this video enjoyable and informative, and if you did, feel free to give this vid a like. And don't forget to share, comment, and subscribe for more videos from this moi. I'll be seeing you guys next week with more videos, so have a great day.